Today's topic, Chris D'Elia has posted a new video. If you aren't aware, Chris D'Elia got in a little situation where he took a leave of absence after people alleged that he did some things with some people who belonged on a playground. This is the best way I can put it.
I don't know. Hey.
He was caught playing on the wrong playground. You know what I mean? He was on the swing set. Should have been at the swing club.
Hey!
You know what I mean? Kind of thing.
You slept good today? Last night you slept good?
I'm having my Cheerios.
I could see that. You're on point.
Yeah, that cholesterol's gone.
Okay.
Hi, everyone. I know that it's been a really long time since you've heard from me. And when the news broke, I put out a statement that said everything I've done has been legal and consensual, and that's true. And I wanted that statement to speak for itself. But what I have come to understand is this was always about sex to me. My life was, sex controlled my life. It was my focus all the time. And I had a problem. And I do have a problem. It's not like you know, months down the line, you just kind of, everything's better. I need to do work on that. When I first started doing stand-up and I started getting a little bit of notoriety in my early 30s.
I want you guys to peep something very interesting He feels terrible about what he did, but what he did was not non-consensual or not illegal. Now, if you guys remember to the video I did, I said what Chris did wasn't illegal, but it was still wrong in the sense that there was no consideration for the people that he was being involved with. It was extremely selfish and was also a lack of respect towards himself. And that's the realization that he's coming to, which a lot of men are going to live with at some point. When you are out there in these streets as a man, this is what I said when I said there's a cost, right? And I'm sure even for him, right? Like if it's not his friendships or, you know, his relationships, it's his mental health. Like it affects you. This is what I'm talking about.
You know, having got a lot easier is the, you know, for the lack of better words. And I felt lucky. I felt like, oh, wow, I don't need to work as hard, you know. I can just do a show and then have sex or roll into a city and look at my inbox and then just start writing. And I did, man. I wrote, I know you've seen some of the messages online. There's way more than that. I would get at least 50 messages after a show each city a night, and I would reply to all of them. And I thought in my mind that being straight up with these women was the right thing to do. I'd say, hey, come to my hotel room and let's have sex, let's make out, let's do this, let's do that. And that was what I thought was right. I realized through all of this that doing that is just treating sex like it's casual and being flippant with people.
Ain't that literally what I said?
I didn't say shit.
Right? And I said it also last time. I said, you do a lot because you lack a lot. Right? You're gluttonous because of a space that you're trying to fill.
Yeah, definitely.
But the truth is, no matter how many ladies come through the door, no matter how many people you enter,
you're not full.
There's nothing entering inside of you. There's nothing that you're filling. Right? So there's always more to be done.
And he said that it was easier. Right?
Oh, yes.
It is easier.
Mm-hmm.
It is. And I believe him where you receive 50 messages, you know. I seen some of the messages you received.
Mm-hmm.
I seen the message that I received.
Mm-hmm. Why do you think I don't have social media?
I know. I'm on the brink.
Okay.
I'm on the brink.
Okay. Let me get away from all that.
It's scary.
Yeah.
Sometimes. I believe that it's scary. I'm still in a mode where I know I'm not there no more, but I still have baggage from when I was a kid,
mm-hmm.
right? Where I was an ugly kid and
Correct.
I was treated and shit like that. And it's always, when I see a message and everything and stuff of someone I do not know,
right.
I'm like, who sent you?
Yep.
Everything is like a trap. It's scary the amount and how and what people are willing to do without you even asking. And it's easy to indulge in that. It's right there.
And the thing is, people think that once you ascend to that level, you've received some kind of God level of discipline, or that you're a completely different human being than the rest of the population. Not realizing you're just a regular person who now has all this adulation.
Yeah.
There's no training.
Nope.
There's no information out there.
Nope.
There's no really great tips on how to handle it.
Nope.
There's no seminar. Nope. They just give you lots of money, right?
Yeah.
They give you lots of followers,
Yeah.
and they give you lots of availability, and they're like, manage all this. Now, it doesn't mean that you don't have responsibility. It doesn't mean that this is not your job to manage it. What I'm saying is there is no training.
Oh, and the thing that happened is, and that's why I kept on saying to you, I am glad that this is happening now.
Oh, hell yeah.
And not when I was 19. I'm not saying that 19 years, I'm talking about me at 19. I don't know y'all or none of y'all. Y'all but me when I was 19. I don't give a shit. I'm not talking about you. This ain't about you. Right? I'm just glad it didn't happen to me when I was 19. You understand? And I'm going to tell you more. Because of, let's say, who I became in the dance community, the kind of fame that this happened, that this happening now, I kind of had it in a smaller scale in the dance community. Those messages on a smaller scale I was receiving after, let's say, a big event, Bust a Move, Chaos Unleashed, whether I was participating or whether I was hosting. I received messages. Yeah. It's just that then again, I didn't have the confidence. I was like on who sent you mode. Yep. And you got all these foreign people coming to town to participate. Yep. They wildin', they leaving. They might never see you, and like they might never see.
They're about that life.
They're about that life.
Oh hell yeah! And
I was having a conversation with one of my friends who was like, "Yo, I never heard stories about you and dancers. Yeah. Why? Yeah. Cause there's none.
There's nothing.
I understand.
Right now we're just talking about ladies, but you could replace this with substances.
You can replace it with food, with games, you know, going to the casino, poker, alcohol, with weed, with anything. You understand what I'm saying? You could replace this with, and that's girl, but it could be anything. And it's easy. Example, you're a bartender. You work in a bar. You are the bartender at that bar. Okay? You flip bottles, ladies come and see you. It's your world. To a smaller scale, and it's your world. And it's good and become easier.
That's not the guy I want to be. It's not okay, and I'm sorry for that. It makes me feel shameful, and it makes me feel bad. You know, people talk a lot about the power dynamic and about, well, why should someone who is a fan of yours have to worry about if you want to sleep with them or not? And I don't know where I fall on that. Especially in my early 30s, I would be like, well, the girl has the power because that's, you know, I want to have sex with them, and if they want to have sex with me, then great. But what I can say is the familiarity that I had with these women to have sex, I was like, oh, they already use me. They already know me. I didn't have to do the extra work. And I was talking to one of my friends about this and about the power dynamic and about the familiarity and not having to use that. And I said, why is that behavior not okay? Why is it not okay to sleep with somebody if it's consensual and they want to sleep with you? And he said, it's okay. Well, it is okay. It's okay until it's not. And that was when, you know, a lot of it clicked for me. It was something that just became life controlling. I mean, I would think about it all the time. I would go and I would do my show, and you know, like I just said earlier, and it was too much, and it became a lifestyle that I didn't know how to stop. I didn't even think I had a problem. I thought that this was how it was. I thought that guys in my position were lucky enough and fortunate enough, and it was going out of control. I never stopped it. I cheated on most of the girls that I've been with. I cheated on my fiance now, and this is my dream girl. This is the girl that I want to be with for the rest of my life. And even that wouldn't stop what I was doing. And I was headed for you know what I was headed for? I was headed for this. And this needed to happen because I wouldn't have stopped cheating. I wouldn't have stopped using.
So I told you guys when I said there's always a cost. There's everyone you're all going to pay. Keep rolling those dices. Right? It's like when you go to the casino, you win a few times, you're feeling good. Keep rolling. You're going to lose. Cut your losses and walk out. If you made it far enough without taking, walk away because you do not want it to come for you. Walk away before the house makes you walk away from the table.
You got to know.
You got to know. And this is what I was talking about when he said it just became too much. This is what I mean when I'm saying there's that gluttonous stuff. I'm not saying this. I've been through it. So I know. I've seen my homies go through it. I've seen the young niggas like ask me for advice. And I'm like, bro, this is what's going to happen. And I watched it. So this is a pattern I kid you not, literally every dude who I've ever known who's got, you know, a body count or, you know, if they've done a lot of dirt, they go through this process.
You got to know.
Yep.
So I have a chance here to, you know, and I have been doing the work and being somebody who is a role model for my son. And I want to do that. And I can't stress that enough. You know, I can't go back and I can't fix that part of me, that hole in me that was trying to be filled with that, you know, the loneliness on the road or the fear that I felt or the insecurity that I would try to chase and just conquer with sex. And it was out of control. So I have a chance here to apologize to the people who got caught up in that.
So some of you are wondering, why is he apologizing? What's there to apologize for if you didn't do anything wrong? Again, you could have done something that isn't necessarily evil and still be incredibly selfish. You can hurt people around you with your selfishness and it not necessarily be a cancelable offense that needs to be in the news or all this other stuff. We have a problem in this country where we're teaching young men that they have to overvalue, you know, doing a lot of stuff and sleeping with a lot of women, right?
Yeah.
And that we don't teach them what the consequences of that are, and you're watching it on a big stage. So does he owe people? Yes. I mean, I've owed women apologies before, not because something terrible necessarily happened, but because I recognized that the way I engaged in my relationships and my dynamics was selfish. I'm talking about before I ever did any of this YouTube or online stuff. And I'm sure you guys can also think of that. Someone you dated where you may not have been the most compassionate person, or you may have engaged in that relationship selfishly for your own desire, either because it was a rebound or someone you had no interest in, but they showed you attention. We could all think of situations where we weren't emotionally considerate. Now, is that bad? Sure. Doesn't mean that it's necessarily something that
Is it wrong?
it needs to be on the public platform or for everyone to talk.
Exactly.
But should you apologize? Of course.
The way we teach men is that we value sex.
Yep.
We value body count, but it's also taboo. So there's the aspect of valuing it, but there's the aspect of having to lie about it.
Lie?
To a certain degree.
Yeah.
To a certain degree. I'm not saying that you have to lie, but I mean, if you want to engage or if you have to cover some things up. It's paradoxical, basically, and that creates even more problems. Thus far, with everything that happened, with every people and every celebrity that happened, or scandals or anything like that, it was the best apology I've seen. It was not so straightforward, but what was supposed to be said was supposed to be said, and he was not hiding behind something. I did this, but you know what I mean? There was always that feeling that I have whenever I see some people apologizing for things that they did. It's like, I'm sorry, but you hit me first. I'm sorry, but you started. You know what I mean? No, if you gotta say sorry, say you're sorry. There was a whole explanation, because just saying sorry wouldn't suffice. But like what you said in the beginning is really what usually bothers me, is using your path to shield away from saying that you actually take ownership for what you did or apologizing.
I mean, I think I said most of it in the first video. I mean, I was operating off limited information, but I felt like I understood what was going on, and this confirmed it for me. Guys, I don't know how many times I can tell you this. I promise you there's going to be a cost. So my only advice is what I said before. Cash out. I know it's hard to hear that, because you're like, I haven't done it, but so how are you going to tell me to? And it's hard for me to tell you, the grass is not greener on this side, but it's really not. And I don't want to see you guys suffer for playing in the wrong playground. You feel me? So just don't do it.
Was he in the wrong playground though? Because as soon as he realized he was on the wrong playground, as soon as he realized he was on the...
I'll explain.
Okay.
At my school, they got a yard, right? We got a giant yard. They got a giant fence around the yard.
Word.
Right. The fence, right? And people in the yard, high schoolers, everyone knows what time it is. If you're 30 years old and you're inside the yard, it looks odd. If you're 30 years old and you're right outside the fence, it's not illegal.
Looks odd. What you looking at?
Don't hang around the fence.
But if you realize that you're around the fence and you leave, you were still around the fence.
But you were just seen around the fence too many times.
You were seen around the fence.
You know what I mean? Like, if I'm a teacher and I see some nigga with a hoodie hanging around the fence and I seen him 5 times, he didn't do anything.
He didn't do anything.
But I'm calling the cops. Because someone's about to get abducted.
Yeah.
Yo, Sandy, come inside. We don't want you to get taken. You feel me?
You know, we get...
Hey, where's the pretty blonde girl at? She's definitely taking you. Let's go. Get in here. You feel me? So that's what it came down to. Don't be hanging around the fence. Like, it's like even the idea of impropriety is enough to be condemned. Yeah. You don't actually have to have done anything. Feel me?
Yeah.
You hang around with the hooligans long enough, guilty by association. Yeah, I mean, you gotta like it's like a vampire. Just do a cross, throw some oil, rub some garlic everywhere, walk away.
Throw some oil.
Yeah, holy water. I don't know. Listen, it is what
You
it is.
play Dungeons and Dragons, you should know.
Yeah.
Oil?
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you throw some oil and you set it on fire.
I mean, garlic. Nah, that's not gonna do nothing except it's garlic oil. Anyways,
All this to say, just don't do it. Just don't do it. And as far as Chris goes, hopefully, his career takes off and goes right back to what it was. And if it doesn't, that's okay. As long as he gets the help that he needs to deal with that issue. I actually think it's better for him to have gone through all this and to deal with his problems rather than he keep going down the path that he was going, because that path that he was going was going to be a way worse ending.
I threw this kind of time away. I've seeked out a lot of kind of, medical advice, therapy and stuff like that. That doesn't matter here nor there.
I appreciate that you didn't go more into details of I went into therapy and this and that and it helped me, and I realized because it doesn't matter. And oftentimes when people do something wrong, they're gonna go into the, I did therapy and that was wrong, and they talk about the process of the therapy, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter about what you did. We don't need to go into the details. Or maybe it's just me being, when we see conversation and we feel like we're out of place hearing that, you and the details of what happened in your process, I don't feel like I have to know everything about that. That is your business, and it has nothing to do with your apology or whatever. Just say you're sorry. That's if you did something wrong. If you feel like you did something wrong. But I appreciate that he didn't go into the details on that, because it doesn't really matter, and I agree that it doesn't matter.
If you do something wrong, or by your standards you're wrong, then what you're doing to rectify that, or maybe why what you'll be doing in your absence, is relevant information to the discussion. As long as you're not using it to shield yourself from any culpability, I think admitting the fact that you're going to therapy is a good thing. And I think one thing that we have as a taboo as a country is that we don't like to talk about the mental health stuff. Now, sure, do some people hide behind that to not accept responsibility?
No,
sure.
you just put your finger on it. What bothers me is exactly what the you said. Is that people shield themselves behind it. It's not so much that you talk about it, because he did talk about it. That's not what I have a problem about it. I don't have a problem. But what you just said, what bothers me is the shielding behind it.
Yeah, but I think there could be two separate things. You could have a mental health issue.
Yes.
Or you could have some kind of addiction or whatever.
It doesn't bother me.
Right? You could be seeking therapy. And it also still means that you still have some responsibility for what you did.
Fine.
Those two things can coexist. And I don't think it's good that we encourage people not to talk about the fact that they're going to therapy or whatever, because I think more people do need to talk about that.
It's not what I meant. It's exactly what you said. What bothers me is people shielding themselves behind that and not taking accountability.
Mira cómo goza,